So I just wanted to talk a little bit about pain in our society, and I've had a couple of meetings tonight, and I've gotten to speak with some very professional people and some very intelligent people, and something came to mind, and I'm hoping I can put it into words at this point. I'm not sure. It's getting late, and I'm feeling that. My body's feeling that, but I think that people have just tried so hard to find so many outlets to get out of pain, and I think what we're doing is now, as a society and as humanity as a whole, we are attempting to put other people at fault for our pain. And it's become such a normal thing that we've become out of touch with our way of serving. And I think that what needs to be taught, what needs to be shared, what needs to really be an example, really needs to be exemplified, is serving. I think that it needs to be servanthood, and I think this is why we see wealthy people as evil, or wealthy people as not good, and for some reason we see poor people as it's okay, and it's an excuse, and we use that as an excuse to hurt. We use that as an excuse to make bad decisions and bad choices, and we breed from that so much destruction and so much death and so much fear and insecurities and so much unworthiness. And the reason I bring up wealthy people is because I think that if you're a wealthy person, if you've got a lot of money, or if you've got enough money, and you're pretty successful at this point as far as finances go, I think that it's really time for America to start focusing on impact. And I think that a lot of people are doing that as well. We've got people like Ed Milet, Tony Robbins has even kind of changed turns. It's just, people are out there trying to create impact, but I don't think that enough people are, and I think that it means more when people that have come up in a different realm of the world, as far as, like the other side of the tracks, if someone comes from the other side of the tracks, they become wealthy or successful and they make a lot of money. What needs to be the focus, what needs to be taught to those people, what needs to be taught to anybody, especially our young, is that when there's money, what you have is the opportunity to give. What you have is the opportunity to create legitimate impact. What you have is the opportunity to change lives. So what you have is the opportunity to change the world. We talk about it all the time. If you want to change the world, be the change you want to see. And I think that's a huge, huge part of being an example, right? Obviously, you've got to be the change you want to see. But another part of that is, if you start changing, your world starts to be different, right? When you change the way you see things, the things you see change. And when you actually change, the reason that is hard is because when we change things, this doesn't mean you just add a bunch of stuff that sounds good or feels good or is the right thing. It means that when you add things that you should be doing, you get rid of things that you shouldn't be doing, right? And so this is just, I think that the biggest portion of that is, it's all about you, because it's not about you. We need to start focusing on really educating ourselves on what we're going to do and where we're going to go and how we're going to get there, because nobody is at this point. We've got big dreams and goals. I want a Ferrari. I want a big house. I want 16 different cars. I want houses in multiple countries. And what about the fact, what about all the orphans in America? What about the poverty? And I'm not talking about giving money to the poor. I'm talking about, what about finding the poor and the brokenhearted and the broken-minded and teaching them that they can change? And I think that that's something we're all missing. It's you have to be able to come from a place of peace and grace and say, I don't care what you've been through or what you've done, but I know what you can be, and I know that you can change where you're at. You just might not know it, and it makes it really hard when essentially what it comes down to is people are blind. And I mean, you can claim government, because the government's pulling the wool over our eyes. You can blame society, you can blame social media, you can blame whatever you'd like. But if you're watching this, you can't blame that anymore, because now you know. You can change. You're not a tree. Jim Rohn gives a great example. Of a tree, right? If a tree wants to move, if a tree wants, I don't like where I'm planted. This sucks, right? I mean, this tree over here, he never gets along with me, and this tree over here's got a bad attitude all the time. Tough. A tree can't move. A tree is rooted where it's rooted. The good news here is you're not a tree, right? If you want to change your life, change. Move, go, change what you're doing. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always be where you've always been. I think that's an old quote at this point, but it's so relevant. It's so real, and I think that part of that change needs to be teaching people, and not just the young people. I think it's really easy to say we need to teach the young, right? Because they're going to be the old. But why not teach everybody? Why not focus on teaching the old, the middle-aged, and the young, and the babies? And start young, but teach old, right? Teach everybody that what we're aiming for is servanthood here. The more you serve people, right? The more you give, the more you receive. What you sow, you will reap. And when you sow, if you plant corn, you don't get one kernel, right? If you plant corn, you get 10 times the amount of corn you planted, right? And that's so legit. You can't argue with that. If you plant one seed of corn, unless it doesn't grow, which is okay, right? Our job is not to grow. Our job is to plant, right? We plant the seed. We're positive. We're the light of the world. We walk into the room, we bring an atmosphere with us. Right, I work with the culture of honor, and so the culture of honor says I focus on the good without tripping over the bad. And essentially what that means is I'm going to focus on the good in you. I know what you can be, and I see your God-given potential. Whether you believe in God or not, that's a different discussion. I'm not trying to make anybody do anything, and I be me, you be you. But whether you believe in God or not, I do, and so that's okay. I see your potential. I see what you can become. I see what you can do. I see who you can lead. I see what you can overcome. I see how you can do it. But that's what we all need to do. Everybody needs to learn to walk into a room and see everybody for the good in them. You have to focus on the good, because a positive affirmation opens the opportunity for fulfillment, right? So once I start saying positive things, once I start affirming people, once I start saying, you are a winner, you're awesome, you can change, you can do it, you have complete control over everything in your life. If I say things like that to people who may not know that or may not have heard that, it might just make them go, maybe he's right. Maybe I can, right? And sometimes that's all it takes, right? Because sometimes to move, you need a little push. And sometimes that little push comes from somewhere we don't expect it to. And so if you're walking downtown, if you're walking through the store, if you're walking down the street and you see somebody with a cool pair of shoes, tell them, right? If you see someone with a cool shirt, let them know. If you see a woman with an awesome haircut, let her know, and don't flirt about it. Just let her know, hey, your hair looks awesome. That's so cool. There's not enough of that anymore. We're too scared to step on people's toes, or too scared to offend people, when really the goal is just to give, serve, aim to serve. And the reason I brought up wealthy people in the beginning is because we all want money, right? That's it's either a turn on or a turn off, but it either goes one way or the other for people. It's either, I don't need any money, I can only live off of this, and I'm good. Or I really need some money, right? I want the cars, I want the houses, I want the properties. Like it goes one way or the other. But when you have the money, what you have to understand is that when you get that, right, with great responsibility, or with great privilege comes great responsibility. Money kind of brings privilege, but that comes with great responsibility. So if you end up with the money, have a goal for what you're going to give. Have a goal for what you're going to create, because I promise you won't be remembered for the cars you drove. You'll be remembered for the people you gave rides to. And you won't be remembered for the size of your house. You'll be remembered for the people you gave homes to, right? Or gave a place to sleep to. You will be remembered for what you gave, not what you got. And if you're busy getting, it's time to change, because our world is changing. And if you want to be a part of the change, a part of the good side of the change, then start giving more than getting, right? Stop focusing on the getting, focus on the giving, because what you give, you will receive, right? Karma's a bitch, but that's not, my battery's gonna die soon. Karma's a bitch, and we say that, in pardon my language if you don't like that, I do apologize. But the reason I say that is because karma, if that's true, we always focus on that, but we normally focus on it when it's a bad thing, right? Like, oh, well, you did this, so that happened to you. But if that's true, then that means karma's good, right? It's like devil and God. If you believe in devil, you've got to believe in God, because if there's bad, there's good. It just kind of goes like that, right? So if karma can be bad, karma can be good. And I don't know what karma is, but I do know that sowing and reaping is real. Because when you give, you get. And we don't always get what we gave, right? But we do get more. I know that's a little confusing in itself, but I just wanted to get this out. It's been on my heart, and I see a lot of people dealing with a lot of pain, and it's really hard for me, because I love watching people win, and I love people creating breakthrough, and I love people, just experiencing revelation and seeing things. And so when I see the pain, it's so hard. So I don't know a better way to teach more people than to put myself out there and really risk, whatever this may be for me. I don't want to be worried about what people think or what people are going to see or what people are going to say. But if that's what you worry about, then you do it too. Why not? My goal here is to give. I want to teach. And no, it's not so that I can receive. It's because I'm concerned about the amount of taking that's being involved. We're, as a society, and I don't think at this point I can only speak for, my state, really, because that's all I see. But as a country or as a world, we really need to focus on giving and giving and giving so much more, because that's where it's at. That's where the money's at. The money's in the giving, right? And if you think you can't give now because you don't have the money or you don't have the means or you don't have the time, that's not going to change when you do. And that's a hard truth. It's something that you have to learn, you have to train, and you have to commit to. And you have to commit to it whether you have the time or the means or the money. Because if you can give when you don't, when you do, it becomes so energizing. It's refilling, it's refueling, it's fulfilling, it's everything. When you have the stuff to give and you give, it feels good, because when you're heartbroken, the best way to fix that is to help hurting people, right? Because hurting people hurting people hurt people. And so I kind of lost that one. Anyways, I just want to get that out. I hope it helps. I hope it might have related to somebody. I don't know. I'm not here saying that I don't have any stuff, right? I got stuff. We all do. It's just kind of that thing, right? It's the family headed to the dinner or to church or wherever, and they're in the car screaming at each other. They get out and they're like, "Whew, what a good day," right? It's a false front, and I'm not here to put that up. I'm really concerned about the hurting people in our world, and I don't think that there's enough people out there searching for the hurting to help. I think that we end up searching for the hurting to excuse our behavior or to make what we're doing normal. And I just think that's a dangerous place to be in. And if you agree, cool. If you don't, cool. I'm not here to dictate that. I just want to get this out there. And so if you got something from this, awesome. If not, I apologize for wasting 13 minutes of your time. But I hope everyone has an awesome day, night, evening, morning, whatever you are, or wherever you are. And rock on.